Hi, Diane. Just checking. Oh, 1 second. Sorry.
Diane, can you say something? We just want to check the sound. Is that better? If you go to view and go to show non-video participants, there you go. You can see everyone.
All right. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I will be calling this meeting to order at 1:03 p.m. This meeting is being held in a hybrid manner where committee members, staff, and the public can participate in person or electronically. This meeting is being live streamed and recorded and will be available on the township website. Notice is hereby provided that under the authority of the Municipal Act 2001 and in the accordance with the Municipal Freedom of Information and Protection and Privacy Act, that all information attained is considered part of the public record. So moving on to the next item is confirmation of agenda. And the recommendation is that the agenda of the February 19th, 2025 meeting of the Community Grant Committee be confirmed as circulated. So could I get a mover and a seconder? Moved by Mr. Herbst. And seconded by Mr. Becking. And all in favor? Motion carried. The next item is disclosure of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof. Yes, so Mr. Becking, you have a disclosure.
I am a member of the Rob Roy Pipe Band, which has in the past played in that event and would benefit from the approval of this application. So I'll be declaring accordingly.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Herbst. And Ms. Pierce?
Yes, I have two items to declare on. I'm going to, it's really out of an abundance of caution and more for perception than anything else, that I will declare a conflict of interest with regard to the application from the Amherst Island Agricultural Society, because I think my brother is going to be speaking to it, or at least here to answer questions. I am a member of that committee, although I know that doesn't eliminate me. I mean, I'm a member of the association. On the other hand, I am a board member on Waterside, so I will also declare a conflict of interest on that item.
Do we have any other declarations? Councillor Budrick?
Declaring on 10.2, it's kind of distant, but my sister is an employee of the Helen Henderson Care Center.
I'm just looking for any others before I move forward.
I've never had this many declarations all in one meeting, but if I could ask each member to either step away from the chair, or if you're on Zoom, just turn off your video so that we know that you're not participating or voting on that matter. That would really clarify for the clerk's team as well as the public that you have declared on that matter. Thank you so much.
All right, so next item, we'll be looking to appoint a chair and a vice chair. So first I'll be looking for a chair. Councillor Budrick?
I would love to nominate Miss Lorna Willis to be the chair.
Do you wish to let your name stand?
Yes, I'm happy to do so. Thank you.
Do we have any others looking to fill the seat of the chair? So with that, I would be looking for a mover and a seconder for the recommendation that Councillor Willis be appointed as the chair of the Community Grant Committee for 2025. So I have moved by
So moved.
Perfect. And seconded by Mr. Rogers. All right, moving on to 4.2. Sorry, just looking for all in favor. Thank you. Now moving on to item 4.2, looking for an appointment of a vice chair. Go ahead, Councillor Willis.
I'd like to nominate Mrs. Pierce if she would accept the position.
Ms. Pierce would rather not, thank you.
Any other nominations for vice chair?
I'll nominate Mr. Becking.
Okay. Mr. Becking?
Sure.
Thank you. Any other nominations at this time? All right, with that, I'll be looking for a mover and a seconder that Ken Becking be appointed as the vice chair of the Community Grant Committee for 2025. So moved by Councillor Willis and seconded by Mr. Herbst. All in favor? Thank you. I will now pass this on to the chair.
Thank you very much. Item 5.1 on the agenda is the adoption of the minutes of the October 15th, 2024 meeting of the Community Grant Committee. Were there any noted errors or omissions on those minutes? Seeing none, I'll look for a motion to adopt the minutes. Mr. Hurst, and a seconder.
I would second that.
Thank you. And all in favor? Thank you. There are no presentations scheduled for today. Item number 7 is open forum. During open forum, any person may address the committee on any matter that is listed on the agenda. Anyone wishing to speak at a committee meeting can register in advance at the clerk's division or can use the raise hand in Zoom when called upon by the chair. So first I'll go to the room. Is there anyone who would like to come forward and speak to their applications?
Well, thank you. My name is Lori Menorgan, and I'm with the Bath Gardening Club and Horticultural Society, and we are on the list. I just wanted to say we really appreciate the opportunity to submit our application, and that to tell you that we've been operating for many years. So this is related to the Sunday market in Bath, is where we're seeking our funding. Our market coordinator, who is here with us today, Linda Cohen. She is a member and a volunteer, and she has worked with local farmers, artisans, and food vendors to expand the market and to offer high-quality goods to the public. A message we've heard from residents of Bath over and over again is, I wish there were a farmer's market. And this too has been a wish of ours, and with your support, it can become a reality. Already, our market manager, Tara Williamson, has created a new website, an Instagram page, added significantly to our Facebook page, and designed some eye-catching promotional material. A farmer herself, Tara has successfully managed the Frontenac Farmers Market for the past 2 years and has grown it from 6 to over 50 vendors. As of today, we have 6 farmers, 22 artisans and food producers registered for this year's market. By opening day, we expect to have over 30 vendors. Our plans for 2025 include introducing more children's activities throughout the market season, more musical entertainment, and special events. We have the support of Lindsay T. and staff of Heritage, Culture, and Tourism. The market provides a great opportunity to promote the Bath Museum, the Fairfield Goods Site House, other historical sites in Loyalist, and to promote culture days. We plan to reach out to surrounding communities and municipalities to promote the market. With your help, we believe we can make the market bigger and better and draw thousands of tourists to Bath. It's a win-win. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions from members of the committee for this? Thank you very much. We appreciate the work you do. Would like to speak during open forum. Do we have anyone online? If you could use the raise hand feature to let us know if you'd like to speak.
We do have some members of the public that are online, so I will let them in now.
Okay, thank you.
Bon Evans is now in the meeting and is able to speak under open forum.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Bon.
Perfect. I'd like to say thank you very much for putting this together again for another year for everybody that can benefit from the funding. I would also like to say I was very supportive of the Bath Market, putting that together as well. It's a wonderful thing. It's just right around the corner from my house. And as she was saying, it does bring a lot of people to the Bath area, same as live music Sundays. So it's great to see the support to our little area out here, drawing people out. I was just noticing that the amount that Live Music Sundays was requesting It still has the pavilion fees in there. I was told by Gillian that I think pavilion fees were a little less. So however you guys want to work that out, I was hoping to receive the full amount this year for the performers that are coming to the park. As well as I have not finalized last year's. I just have to go in and sign it. So that's the only thing that's left on that. I've submitted everything else for that. The only thing would be just to walk in the building and sign it physically. So I just wanted to put that in there because it might not have been mentioned in the notes.
Okay, thank you very much, Bon. Are there any questions for this presenter? No.
No,
Thank you very
absolutely.
much.
I don't see anyone else with their hand up in the online room.
Thank you. And I think there's one more person here in the audience that I missed. My apologies.
Oh. Okay, so my name's Scott. So I'm the Scott Compo, the Director of Education for Boys and Girls Club here in BGC Southeast. So this is my first sort of opportunity to be here and to speak in front of all of you. So thank you for inviting us out to have this opportunity. I wasn't sure if now is the time or waiting a little bit later on, but I did want to thank you in advance for reviewing the proposal. So background sort of BGC Southeast, has continuously been trying to expand and strengthen sort of our involvement and impact within Loyalist Township. So we are currently out in Amherstview Public School and then have plans for our before and after care programs, but then have continuous plans for all of the summer camps. So the proposal that we kind of submitted for this is just a new program sort of focusing on an expansion of our sports leagues. So in the city of Kingston, we typically have been busing students from in the inner city core to come weekly for participating in some recreational skill development related to sports. So both the fundamentals of movement and then into sort of the game and the competition. So now that we've kind of established our before care and after care program at Amherst Public School, we thought that we would want to try to have this program where we would be inviting, the students in Loyalist Township at Amherst Public to kind of come to BGC and be a part of that program, as well as, have access to the rest of the amenities, at our facility. So having the chance to come and having your team kind of review that, we're very grateful for, especially looking through all the other sort of applicants that have submitted proposals. There's a lot of amazing programs involved there. So I just wanted to have that opportunity to say a few words about the program and to just, again, thank you in advance for your considerations.
Very much. Does anyone on the committee have questions to this presenter?
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you. I'm a little, I guess, curious about how your application relates to your regular registrations. So I guess for clarity, is this eligibility on top of what parents would pay for regular participation in your programs?
Yeah, so thank you for that question. So what we've seen, I mean, the increase in families that are looking for supports for subsidies and for extracurricular opportunities is continuously increasing. So what this proposal is the families that are already accessing and are paying for services in the aftercare program at the schools. Now this would be something that is included for all of those families, that they get the opportunity, to jump on the bus and have their staff kind of take them out and then participate in these weekly sport-based programs. So it's nothing in addition to the families within the community, but it is an awesome opportunity for the children to be able to participate in this, because recreational sports and activities like this, I said, are an expense to families. And some, as we see as children age, their interest kind of drops off in some of these competitive sports. So what we're seeing is some of the impact is having a safe space for children to come and continuously play and to develop these skills, is really, really crucial. So having a spot for the Loyalist and the Amherst Public School students to come to our facility to do that is one of our sort of mission and mandates.
No, I'll
Anything else? Thank you very much for the
Thank you for
information.
your time.
Thank you. So moving on, we have no delegations scheduled. And now is time for a financial update from our finance division.
Good afternoon. Okay, did you want me to start, Madam Chair?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. So I'm Shelley Steadall. I'm the Director of Finance for the Loyalist Township. And with me is my Deputy Treasurer, Arthur Smith, who I believe has been to the committee before. This is just a very brief overview as to what is available right now. Last year, in 2024, a new policy was adopted, and the funds that are available for the community grants, the allocations were changed. So this, what we're presenting today, and I apologize, it's on page 14 of your agenda. It's very small, and it doesn't have a lot of background to it, but this is the intent of this particular report is to make sure that you're aware that there is funding that is available for the grants that are being applied for in intake 1. So that and how the money is going to be allocated and from which fund and reserve that the money is going to be coming from. We're going to be requesting, we're going to work with the clerk's office a little bit closer so that the resolutions, if they are, as they come forward, it'll be clearer for us to know which reserve is going to be used to fund whatever projects are approved or recommended for approval from this committee. So I will just, what we've done is provided you specifically just the information that's available for all wards. The original policy and the revised policy as well allocates some of the funds for wards 1, and then other funds are awarded for the first 5 years after the contract, after we receive the community grant funding, goes to wards 2 and 3. And then after the 5 years is over, everything goes to all of the wards. So just to make it clear, we haven't finished our 2024 year end. We don't have audited, we haven't finalized allocations. They haven't been audited at this point in time. So the specific allocations for wards 1, 2, and 3, we have not included. What we've clarified for you is the amounts that are available for all wards, just to make it simpler. So because what will happen is the amounts that are allocated from those specific funds, or like for the specific wards, that money, once we confirm the amounts that is eligible, will get used up first, and then we'll go to the all ward system. I don't know if Mr. Smith wants to add anything to that.
Nothing further at this moment.
Are there any questions from the committee on this first financial report? I have one to Mr. Smith or the treasurer. So you're saying that this total amount is available for intake 1. So we have 3 intakes now. So will there be more funds coming before the next intake, or is this our total for the year?
I'll take this one. So this is based on the portion based on the policy of 40% for intake 1, plus the amount carried forward from the prior years. So obviously not all this amount will be available in later terms if we went into the reserve, but there will be additional funding for the other intakes.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any other questions? No? Okay, thank you very much for that.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have to vote to receive? Okay, we don't have to. We won't then. Next is item 9.2, which is an update from the Clerk's division.
So attached to the agenda, we provided the committee with just an update on where things are sitting with the applicants who received funding in 2024 in regards to what funding they received, when they received it, and then more importantly, going into 2025, noting whether the evaluation reporting and use of funds has been tracked or not. So you'll see in one of the columns, we do have whether or not we received their final evaluation for their completed project. There's a few that are in progress. We're currently just waiting on a few more documents from them, but they have began the reporting with us. And then there's some whose projects or programs have not completed yet. So they're not required to give us that evaluation at this time until their project or program has been completed. And if the committee has any questions, we are happy to answer them.
So just for clarity, there's no group that's applied for funding in this round that has an outstanding report.
To note on this, the Bath Public School has not submitted a fully complete evaluation. However, I am working with them to get the final receipts. It is in progress.
Are there any questions from the committee regarding this first report from the Clerk's Division? Nothing? Okay. We'll move to item 9.3, which was ideas from the committee on raising awareness of the community grant program. Did the Clerk's Division have anything to say about this report?
So just attached to this item, you will see it's some information regarding the community grant promotion in 2024. So this is from our communications team, and it's just providing a brief overview of what promotion took place in 2024 for the program, and then some insights on the activity that it brought in, and how many views and kind of who it ended up reaching out to.
I congratulate staff on the work that was done to promote the community grants. And I think that the increase in number of applications that we've seen shows that this was effective, and that's very encouraging. Are there any comments or questions from the committee? No, seeing none, we will move on then. Thank you for those reports. Now we will get into the meat of things. So the first is item number 10.1, which is an application from the Amherst Island Agricultural Society requesting $89,000 for their fairgrounds event, hosting infrastructure and equipment project. And this is one of the items that Mrs. Pierce has declared a conflict on. So I'll just ask you to turn off your camera. Thank you. Before we go to a motion, were there any questions about this application from the committee?
The Clerk's Division does have an update on this application.
Okay.
So we would just like to provide a little bit of insight that we apologize that we're just bringing the information forward now. However, we just received confirmation about an hour before the meeting that there are further planning, building, and engineering items that will need to be potentially funded for this project. So with that, it will approximately be about an extra 1,000 to 1,500 that they would need from the planning side. And then in regards to engineering related costs, to the township, there likely is an extra cost, but for the engineered drawings they would need for their building permit for the bleachers, that would be an associated cost. However, we don't have a breakdown for that because it really depends on the engineering firm. So with that in mind, so the request was for 89,000. However, they could be, since it's capital stream, granted for a grant of up to 100,000.
questions from the committee on that? So it's the engineering cost that's an unknown? Correct. Do we have any ballpark idea of what that engineering cost could be?
We do not. However, I do know that there's a member from the Agricultural Society here that may be able to answer that question. But if they haven't submitted the drawings yet, then there would be no estimate at this time.
Okay. Mr. Hurst.
Madam Chair, can I recommend that the request be then to say up to 100,000 for this particular project?
So would you like to make that motion? Okay, so the motion then is that the committee recommends that council approve the Amherst Island Agricultural Society Community Grant application up to $100,000. Okay. So it's now on the table for discussion. Are there any comments about this? First to the mover? Nope. Seconder?
No.
Anyone else? Okay, I will call the question as a vote then. Is everyone that's in favor of this, please raise a hand. Okay, anyone against? Abstentions? Oh, okay. I'm just looking at Councillor Parks, but she may be distracted. Oh, she's waving. Okay, that's good. Thank you. So that grant application is approved. We let Mrs. Pierce know that she can cut back. There we are. Next on the agenda, item 10.2 is the Gibson Family Healthcare Charitable Foundation requesting $100,000 for a wheelchair accessible bus to transport residents. And on this item, Councillor Buderick has declared a conflict and has left the meeting table. Do we have questions on this application? Mr. Becky?
Can we get some clarity in terms of what is the status of this corporation or this entity that's making the application? I did my own little bit of research, and it's not clear to me that the application is from an organization that would satisfy the requirements of the policy.
Thank you. The clerk's office, did you have meetings with these applicants and do you have any, I guess what's causing the confusion is there's the Gibson Family Healthcare Charitable Foundation, which raises money for things to support the patients that live in the for-profit Helen Henderson home. So it's a little confusing as to what the committee is being asked to fund.
So I can confirm that the application came from the foundation, not the Helen Henderson Center. And we do have a copy of their articles of incorporation should the committee wish to see that. And then I believe they are also available virtually if the committee has further questions.
Okay. Would we like to invite them to come in and explain, Mr. Becky?
I think further clarity is warranted. They may have structured some fundraising corporation outside of it, but at the end of the day, it benefits a for-profit organization. And so I'm a little leery about approving this application or recommending it for council's approval rather.
So we have, is it Ms. Reynolds?
Yes, she's just coming in as a panelist.
Hello, Ms. Reynolds, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
We can barely hear you. We're going to turn up some volume, I believe. So I don't know if you heard the question from one of the committee members, but it was seeking some explanation on how the Charitable Foundation relates to the Helen Henderson Home and what the purpose of the Charitable Foundation is.
Happy to speak to that. Is the volume better now?
Yes.
Wonderful. So thank you for your time today and for your consideration of our application. And the clerk is correct that the Charitable Foundation is separate from the Gibson Family Healthcare business. So the Charitable Foundation is an entity that raises money for the residents of Helen Henderson Care Center, and it helps us improve their quality of life. So it's a great vehicle to get the things that we need and want that we couldn't get otherwise. And we're in desperate need of a vehicle that many residents actually don't leave the home without assistance, and some don't leave at all if we don't have a bus. Our buses have been out of commission for almost a year now, and it's that essential or important to have one. So it is, the Charitable Foundation is completely separate from Helen Henderson Care Center. And I don't know, do you have any specific questions other than that issue?
Looking to the committee members, are there specific questions that we'd like to ask? Mr. Becky?
I guess my question would be, do the residents pay for the privilege to live in that residence?
Well, the government subsidizes, as we're governed under the Ministry of Health and Long-Term Care. We have lots of checks and balances. That's our kind of umbrella organization. If they can afford to pay for some of the costs of the accommodation fee, they do. But if they can't afford that, then it is rate reduced. So it always reflects income and capability. So I think I know where you're going with this. They will not, nobody pays anything to travel on the bus. And these excursions out into the community, Loyalist Township specifically, they go to the shopping, to restaurants, to local sightseeing, and it's just such an essential, important part of their lives. So they don't pay anything for that.
Mr. Hurst?
Thank you for your explanations. Having said that, and I do appreciate the good work that you people do for your residents, it still strikes me that the foundation was created for a specific purpose, and that was to fundraise for the long-term care and the home itself. Do I have that right?
Was created to fundraise for the residents of the home to help improve their quality of life. And so I think the answer is yes, that if we're buying things and obtaining equipment and excursions and such to help the residents, that is not covered under any other funding model.
So if I might just follow up on that. So what you're telling me is that what the foundation does is beyond the core of what the services are provided by the Helen Henderson Home.
That's correct. That's right. It's I think it's the term is envelope funding. The government, the ministry allocates so much for dietary, recreation, the nursing, and so right. This activity or under the Charitable Foundation is over and above. It's completely separate.
I'm sorry, but I'm still hung up on when you say it's completely separate. It strikes me that there is a very close relationship between the foundation and a long-term care home and how it functions.
Yes, when I say completely separate, the van wheelchair accessible vehicle isn't funding is not provided by the Ministry of Health and Long-Term Care. So that's what I mean by separate, you know, the funding wouldn't be available otherwise.
I have one question, Ms. Reynolds. Is it usual in the kind of industry of long-term care that a home would be supported by a foundation? I've seen it in other instances. Is this a usual way that the homes are supported?
Charitable Foundation has been in operation for many years, and we've received many donations from individuals, corporations, and businesses, and grants. So, yes, I think the answer is, I can say with confidence that other long-term homes have a charitable foundation and they use them for this purpose as well. And Madam Chair, I don't know if this is the time to kind of amend our application, but we've obtained a few more quotes, and we don't need that full funding that we requested now. That our preferred quote is actually only 60,000. I know that's still quite a bit, so excuse my language, but it's 60,000, not 100,000 that we are requesting. Would you?
Okay. Thank you for that. And just one final bit of clarity, because I know that there is some accessible transit options that are available. Your thoughts on using this vehicle? This is more for a group excursion that you're taking 10 residents and going shopping or going to a social event or something like that. Is that correct? That's how this vehicle's being used?
Yes, it could be to shopping or musical events, meals, all these excursions that we would be taking the residents on. They would have somebody assisting them, accompanying them. So that's always in place as well.
Okay. Thank you very much for that. Do I have any other questions? Thank you, Ms. Reynolds. That was very helpful. So to the committee, I'm looking for a motion. Mr. Rogers.
Madam Chair,
Oh, I'm sorry.
I think Ms. Pierce and myself have questions.
Oh, we'll start with Ms. Pierce.
You go first, Ms. Parks.
Thank you. Just for the speaker, I'm sorry, I've forgotten her name. Just to clarity, you had mentioned that you had a van previously, and I'm sorry if it was in the report and I missed it. Where did the funding come from for that van that you previously had to take residents around?
Foundation to purchase that van. And I believe it's around 15 years old and no longer usable.
I'm sorry, Ms. Reynolds, we didn't get that response. If you could just repeat it.
Apologies. Can you hear me, Madam Chair?
Yes.
The answer is we raised the money for the last van through our charitable foundation. They were all donations through granting organizations, individuals, and corporations.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you. Thank you.
And Diane, you had a question?
I do. You know, obviously, I can appreciate that this van would enhance the life of the residents of the seniors' home, or it's not just seniors' home. I appreciate that as well. I guess my concern is about the availability. It's not available as a community for community use. It's a very specific private group who will have access to the use of this bus. It's not something that the larger community can benefit from, which I think is not in keeping with the grants policy.
Okay, thank you for that, Diane. Mr. Becking.
At the risk of appearing to beat a dead horse here, is there an accessible transit service provided by the township that would provide an equivalent service to what would be provided by this vehicle?
So I can answer that because Councillor Bruder just updated me as he sits on the taxi commission. And the taxi commission recently, perhaps last night, approved funding for 2 new accessible vehicles. So those would be available to anyone that lives on the number 10 bus route for a cost of $3.50 per person. That's designed for individuals that are going to appointments and things like that.
As a supplement, then, is this facility on the number 10 bus route or whatever?
Yes, it is. And I believe we had Councillor Parks wanted to say something.
Thank you. Just another question, if I could try to get some clarity, please. So I guess one of the questions would be, who would own the bus? Would it be through the charitable organization, or would it actually be through Helen Henderson Home? The other thing would be, is the bus then driven by a volunteer, or is it an employee of the corporation? Just, it will help me clarify where I go with this.
That's great. And I see Ms. Reynolds has her hand up. So Ms. Reynolds, if you'd like to come in and answer that question, and if you had anything else to add.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Hear me now?
Can you try again, please?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay, so few points. Any cost for transportation is prohibitive. That it is a barrier for many of our residents. So hence the excursions on this wheelchair accessible bus are always free. Who owns the bus? It would be, well, we could discuss that, as well as, deliverables such as with the township, like its logo on the side of the bus. So it might be owned by the Charitable Foundation, or if Loyalist Township wants to own it, if you don't want to see it go under Helen Henderson Care Center, that could be open for discussion. And who drives the bus? We have volunteers who drive the bus, and when they're not available, it would be a staff member, but it would be fully licensed, fully insured. And I should note that we've seen trends in the industry in our business, and one of them is we see people coming into the home further decommissioned just from the pandemic has caused a lot of isolation and boredom. And so we know the importance of these outings. I know, they are essential to the optimal health that we like to see.
Thank you very much. Do we have any other questions before we go for a motion? Mr. Rogers, would you like to make a motion? And is your motion that we approve or deny the request?
Yes, I make a motion. Can you hear me now? Yes, make the motion to approve.
And would you be making that motion for the amended amount of $60,000?
Would you clarify for me if the approvals for the 60,000 instead of the 100,000?
Yes, Ms. Reynolds said that they got another quote that they preferred that was only for 60,000. So then the recommendation would be that the committee recommends that council approve the Gibson Family Health Care Charitable Foundation Community Grant application in the amount of $60,000.
Yes.
That's your motion. Do we have a seconder for that motion? Mr. Marshall. And to the mover, do you have comments to make?
No, thank you.
Okay.
The only thing is my hearing aid's dead.
Oh.
That's why I missed part of the conversation.
Okay, I'll show it at you.
Apologies.
And to the secondary, their comments? Mr. Marshall? No comments? Okay, to the rest of the committee. Okay, I will call the vote. So everyone in favor of the motion, please raise a hand. We have 2. Everyone against the motion? Okay, so the motion has been defeated. Is there another motion that wants to be put on the table? We would need a motion to deny the grant if that's the intention of the committee. Mr. Hurst moved, Ms. Pierce seconded. And to the mover, are there any comments on this?
No, thank you, Madam Chair. I think we've aired it enough.
Okay, and to the seconder, Ms. Pierce, did you have any comments? No. I will call the question then. The motion is to deny the application from the Gibson Family Healthcare Charitable Foundation. And a show of hands if you approve. Okay, that motion is passed. Thank you. Pardon me. The program and event grant applications, the first 11.1 is the Amherst Island Men's Society request for $1,500 to hang flower baskets on Amherst Island. Do we have any questions about this application? Mr. Hurst.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a matter for clarification on the application of the policy. Because as I read the application, there appear to be a part of the funds that are being requested. They look like operating costs. For example, the fuel, the tractor maintenance, and insurance costs. Maybe staff can clarify that for me, but it strikes me that that is not eligible under the current policy.
Through you, Madam Chair. So the policy states that the grants are not eligible for expenses related to day-to-day operating costs of an organization, staffing, rent, excluding municipal facilities, property taxes, office supplies, including electronic equipment, etc. I would advise the committee to consider whether the costs are related to the program itself or whether it's related to the day-to-day operations if the grant was not received. So that's how I would recommend that you review the quotations, I guess.
And I can explain. So this organization, they own a tractor with a big water tank on it, and that's the only reason they own it, is for watering the flower baskets. Are there any other questions about this application before I ask for a motion? So I will ask for a motion. Mr. Hurst? Okay. So Mr. Hurst has moved that we approve, that the committee recommends that council approve Amherst Island Men's Society Community Grant application in the amount of $1,500. Do I have a seconder for that? Councillor Bruderick, and any comments from the mover? Seconder?
No, thank you, Madam.
Okay. Any comments from anyone else? No, I will call the question. Everyone in favor? Please raise a hand. Thank you. That one has passed. The next is 11.2, the Amherst Island Recreation Association request for $9,933 for the Canada Day fireworks, along with $66.68 in in-kind services. Do we have any questions about this application? No. Do we have a motion? Mr. Becky? Do we have a seconder for that? Mr. Marshall, any comments? Mover, seconder? And I will call the question. Everyone in favor, please raise a hand. Okay, we're speeding along now. Item 11.3, Mr. Becking has declared a conflict on this one. It's the Amherstview Lions Club request for $5,504 for the Amherstview Santa Claus Parade. Any questions on this application? No. I'm looking for a motion then, please. Councillor Bruder,
Motion to approve?
and seconded by Mr. Hurst. Thank you. And any comments? No. I will call the question. Everyone in favor, please raise a hand. No one's going to vote against Santa Claus. Mr. Becking has returned. Item 11.4, the Bath Gardening Club and Horticultural Society requests for $4,948 for the Bath Sunday Market and Merry Little Market, along with $2,590.64 in in-kind services. I do note that staff did make a comment on this application recommending that the committee approve only $1,500 in in-kind services because there is a limited budget of $10,000. So if anyone is making a motion, they would be able to consider adding that. So, Mr. Hurst.
Madam Chair, my question would be whether or not we would have discretion as a committee to recommend a higher amount than the $1,500 for the in-kind support.
I'll look to the clerk for an answer on that.
Madam Chair, I have the Manager of Recreation and Programming here who could speak to why that limit is recommended.
Okay. Ms. Lamb is coming in. Hello.
Good afternoon. Thank you. The reason the recommendation is there is that with this being the first intake and having a budget of only $10,000 for the year, we're unsure the total request for the year for free use. The $10,000 is the free use. So the Bath Sunday Market does request free use of the park each Sunday for the market. So if we were to allow more than 1,500 and to go to the maximum, it just would eliminate future approvals, if, for lack of a better word, for other uses for free use for the committee.
Okay, thank you for that. And to the clerk, I think the question was more if we totaled the amount that's being requested and only $1,500 was allocated to the free use, is it possible to add to the $4,948 so that the group would have the funds to pay for the use of the park for the balance? That's the question that was intended.
Through you, Madam Chair, that is a motion that the committee could make. However, to sort of explain, the $10,000 in-kind services and the cash grant all come from the same grant funding, right? So if you choose to give more in cash grant than what's requested so that they could pay back into the facilities rental, at the end of the day, it all comes from the same pot, which is the grant pot. So it is up to the committee to make that recommendation. And as the Manager of Recreation and Programming mentioned, we recommend this limit of $1,500 just so that it's evenly distributed among the organizations that apply, and as well as anticipating some future asks in intake 2 and intake 3, which will all come from the $10,000 that we have allocated.
So the total cost to provide this grant doesn't change. It's just how the money's allocated to that free use. So yes, a motion could say that we're approving the total cost, and of that $1,500 is allocated to the free use of facilities portion. Am I correct? That's a question.
So I just want to clarify so that totals are correct. So the way that these have been, the resolutions that are recommended have been set up is that the committee recommends approval denying deferring the total amount in grant, and then you'll see there's another line that says, and then in-kind services and the amount of. So even though the funding will get distributed as a whole number, we just have it broken down in the minutes so we can track both totals on our end. So I would just make the committee aware that the 4,948 is separate from what the in-kind total is as it's laid out in this agenda.
Right. Mr. Hurst.
Could I make a recommendation that the total amount would be $6,038.64 for the markets, along with $1,500 in-kind services?
Is that the motion?
I'll make that as a motion.
Okay, do we have a seconder to that motion? Councillor Buderick? Any comments from the mover?
No, just trying to be helpful.
Yeah, seconder? Anyone else? I agree with that because I don't think when these groups put in their applications, they anticipated a cap of being able to ask for $1,500. If they had, they might have structured their application differently. Do we have any comments from anyone else on the committee? Councillor Buderick?
Also, keeping a cap like that allows people further down who've asked for in-kind services to get some money as well. So it's a good thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So seeing no other, Ms. Pierce?
I just want to say I think that this is a great project, and anything we can do to support it is a good move, I think.
Very good. Thank you. Well, with that, I will call the question. Everyone in favor of the motion as stated? Thank you. And that has passed. Item 11.5 is the Bath Public School request for $5,000 for their Good Start breakfast program. Do we have any questions on this application? No. Do we have a motion? Councillor Buderick.
Move to approve.
Okay, and do we have a seconder? Councillor Parks is seconding. Any comments? Comment from the seconder?
I just think this is a great program. I think anything we can do to help the kids and in school is a great idea, and it's been a good program.
Great, thank you. And with that, I'll call the question. Everyone in favor, please raise a hand. And that has passed. Item 11.6 is the Boys and Girls Club of Kingston and Area request for $9,420 for their Sport League program in Amherstview. Do we have any questions about that? Seeing none, do we have a motion? Mr. Rogers.
Sorry.
So, Mr. Rogers, are you making the motion that the committee recommends that council approve the Boys and Girls Club of Kingston and Area community grant application in the amount of $9,420?
Yes.
And do we have a seconder on that? Mr. Hurst? Any comments from the mover, seconder? Anyone else? I will call the question. Everyone in favor, please raise a hand. Thank you. That's passed. The next item is 11.7, Green Schools, Green Future, request for $10,000 for educational programs for students of Loyalist Township. Do we have any questions about this application? This is a group that we've not dealt with before. Mr. Rogers.
Yes, could you tell me what the Green Schools Green Future is?
Does the clerk's office have any additional information on this group?
So through your chair to Mr. Rogers and the committee, the update the clerk's division has is we have contacted this organization a couple of times since the application was submitted for further information, and we have yet to receive further information on the application.
And I noted, I went to their website. They're a group that's based in Toronto.
Through your chair, from my understanding, yes, after reviewing their website and the pamphlet that they submitted, that is what it appears to be.
Thank you.
So are we saying that we don't know anything about this organization that's requesting a $10,000 grant?
That's correct.
I want to make sure I understood. Thank you.
Mr. Beckett.
Madam Chair, just further to that, in my review of the application, I was left with the impression that this would be part of the curriculum of the school in one form, fashion, or otherwise, and therefore, the question in my mind is, why is this not coming out of the school's funding for whatever? So I wouldn't say no at this point, simply because I don't think I have enough information in which to make a decision.
Mr. Hurst.
Madam Chair, I will say no. And I recommend that we deny the application.
Is that your motion?
It is.
Do we have a seconder for that motion to deny the application? Ms. Pierce?
Yes, I do.
Okay, and
I think what they're proposing is a wonderful thing. I just think we don't know anything about how they're going to do it.
comments from other members?
Through you, I would just refer back to the clerk's department saying that we've reached out to them multiple times and we've gotten nothing from them. So I don't feel comfortable myself.
I agree. I think being an unknown group, I'd feel more comfortable if they came to the table in partnership with one of the schools with a project that they could describe to us. So so the motion is to deny this application. I'm asking for a show of hands for all those who approve denying the application. Okay, that's passed. Next, we have item 11.8, Live Music Sundays, requesting $7,458.67 for musicians to play at Finkelshore Pavilion, along with $2,541.33 in in-kind services. So as we discussed with the Bath Garden Club, who's going to do the math for me? Mr. Hurst is. While we're waiting for that, were there any further questions on this application? Are you prepared to make a motion?
I'm prepared to be wrong. The motion would amend the request to $8,500 plus $1,500 in in-kind services.
That's correct.
So
Just through your chair, sorry to interrupt you. Just before you make a motion, I will let you know that Mr. Evans is in the online room if you wish to have him brought in for any clarification or further information.
I don't know that we need clarification. I think we're okay. Yeah. So the motion is that the committee recommends that council approve the Live Music Sundays community grant application in the amount of $8,500 and in-kind services in the amount of $1,500. And do we have a seconder for that? Mr. Rogers, any comments? Nope. I will call the question. Everyone in favor, please raise a hand. Okay, thank you. That's passed. Item 11.9 is the Loyalist Business Association requesting $9,966.65 for programs to promote Loyalist Township businesses. And staff did distribute a copy of the detailed budget on how they came up with the $9,966.65. So do we have any questions about this application?
Madam Chair, through you. I know my math is pretty basic, but looking at all the quotes I don't see them coming to the total that is being asked for. My second comment is, I believe that there's an issue about asking for in-kind services as well, as you're not. Even though your application review suggests that they did not, I thought I read in their application that they had.
So through your chair to Mr. Herbst, we do appear to have a member in the online room from the Loyalist Business Association if you wish to have them come in to provide any further clarification.
Madam Chair, are you seeing 4 pages or 3 pages? Because I may have in the last minute printing sessions that okay, you're seeing 4 pages, okay.
Through your chair, it does not appear that way. But as I said, if you would like further clarification, we do have a member from the Loyalist Business Association here in the online room.
Maybe I'm misreading the application, but I thought I saw in there that there was a request. Although in your review portion, that was left blank.
Through you, Madam Chair, I can explain. So the in-kind services that is requested by the association is not generally something that we would charge for. And that's why we have not included it in the recommendation. So they're asking for a promotional, they're asking for clerical support in walking through permits and applications and licenses. Those are things that we normally don't charge for, and that's why they're not considered in-kind services under this policy.
Thank you.
Sorry, Diane, please.
I couldn't see the budget for this, and I don't know when it was forwarded, but I know, anyway, plus I obviously didn't get it. So I can't really, I don't know how this $9,600, almost $10,000 is being allocated. And also, I guess the in-kind portion of it, which isn't really in-kind, is actually asking for staff support. Is there a limit to that? You know, how much staff time is going to be allocated to this group?
I'll ask the clerk for clarification on that.
Through you, Madam Chair, there's no limit to that portion. I honestly would not be able to answer that question at this time, but promotional, if the association would like to partner with the township, I could refer this application to our communications manager, who will work with the association to make sure that that through our township channels, that's completed. But again, I don't have the answer right now. And with respect to clerical support, really there's no limitations on how much time we spend with any applicant to get them through some regulatory bylaw process or application process.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions on this one? Do we have a motion? So Mr. Herbst has moved that the committee recommend that council approve the Loyalist Business Association community grant application in the amount of $9,966.65. Do we have a seconder for that? Mr. Becking. And any comments from the mover? Any comments? Mr. Becking, any comments? No, I know that the association met last night and appointed some new directors and have gained some traction this year. So good work being done. So with that, I will call the question. All in favor, please raise a hand. And against? And abstaining. Okay. And I recognize, so unfortunately, the members that are virtual did not get the details on that budget because it was just handed to us in paper right before the meeting. And the clerk has explained that there's some concern about freedom of information and sharing quotes that have been provided by businesses. Moving on to item 11.10, the Morning Star Relief Mission requesting $10,000 for meal services within Loyalist Township. Do we have any questions about this application? This is for a meals program operating out of Odessa. No questions? I'm looking for a motion then. Mr. Hurst. Okay, so the committee recommends that council approve the Morning Star Relief Mission Incorporated community grant application in the amount of $10,000. Do we have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Buderick. Any comments about this application? No. Sorry, I just saw a message come up from someone in the audience, but it's not related to this item. So if there are no comments, I will call the question. Everyone in favor, please raise a hand. Item 11.11, the Odessa Public School is requesting $3,500 for phase 2 of their food cycler program. Do we have any questions about this program? No questions. I'm looking for a motion. Councillor Buderick? So Councillor Buderick is moving that the committee recommends that council approve the Odessa Public School community grant application in the amount of $3,500. Do I have a seconder? Mr. Hurst, thank you. And any comments?
I do know they're doing very good work with this program that we supported in the past. Actually having one of these in my own home, it's phenomenal what it does and how it can reduce waste.
Excellent. Comments from anyone else on the committee? Seeing none, I will call the question. Everyone in favor, please raise a hand. And that passes. Item 11.12 is the Odessa Public School Parent Advisory Committee requesting $9,956.47 for their community fun fair, along with $36.78 in in-kind services. Did we have questions about this application? This was, I believe there was some question. We didn't really understand the breakdown of what was being asked for. So to the clerk's office, is there a detailed budget on this event? That's this one that we got, right? I'll give the committee a few minutes to look at that. So for the benefit of the audience, I won't list all the details, but the budget for the event includes inflatables, a foam party, a balloon artist, face painter, princess characters, a photo booth, tables and chairs, tent rental, popcorn machine, barbecue, popcorn bags, cotton candy, some equipment, prizes, and a mini putt game. So it's a fun fair for the students at the school. Do we have questions at all? Mr. Hurst.
Madam Chair, through you, I'm sorry, but the math on this one just doesn't seem to work. When I look down the column of first choice quotes, right through, I don't see how they get to their total.
Is there someone in the audience that's part of this group?
And through you, Madam Chair, I think, so there's a couple printouts that I handed out within the last couple minutes before the meeting started. And I think this is the one where there was a printer error. So I have a couple pages here behind me, which means that not all the pages made it to the committee member. So that's probably why the math is not adding up. There should be 5 pages. You got it. Okay. So I can apologize for that because this is me handing out as fast as possible those pages.
Okay. So on the copy that the clerk's office has, does the total add up to what's being requested?
Yes, it does.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any other questions on this application? Do we have a motion for this application? Mr. Becking? Okay. So Mr. Becking has made a motion that the committee recommends that council approve the Odessa Public School Parent Advisory Committee community grant application in the amount of $9,956.47 for their community fun fair, along with $36.78 in in-kind services. Is there a seconder to that motion? Mr. Rogers. Comments from the mover? The seconder? Any comments? No. And from the rest of the committee, are there any comments on this one? Councillor Buderick.
I'm a little disappointed at some of the sourcing of what they want to buy, because some of the people that are involved with this program are also involved with the Loyalist Business Association, and they're on that side of things, they're talking about buying locally, but everything that's being purchased on here is from Walmart and Amazon and Temu and things like that. So a little disappointed on that. That's all.
Well, and perhaps it's because it's easier to get quotes online, and we would encourage the group to buy local as much as they can. Were there any other comments on this application? Seeing none, I'll ask the question. Everyone in favor, please raise a hand. Thank you. And we are now on 11.13. So Ms. Pierce has declared a conflict on that one because of her board membership in the Waterside Summer Series. So this is the Waterside Summer Series requesting $2,225 for musicians for their summer 2025 event, and specifically the free children's concert that has become an annual event. So do we have any questions on this application? Not seeing any. Mr. Hurst?
Through you, Madam Chair, I noted comments from the clerk that there was an issue about accommodation. Perhaps you can just clarify and resolve that for me.
Through your chair to Mr. Herfs. So that comment is in regards to the community grant policy. Does have a stipulation that funds are not to be used for accommodation purposes. So with that, we just want the committee to take consideration to that, as accommodation was listed as one of the items to be funded.
We don't have that detail though, do we?
Through your chair, I can provide you how much that total was, if the committee would like that number.
Yes, please.
Through your chair, so on the application, the total for accommodation was $275.
Okay, with that, do we have any other questions or is anyone prepared to make a motion? Mr. Hurst.
Madam Chair, I'm prepared to make the motion to approve the application in the full amount requested.
Okay, do we have a seconder to that? Councillor Buderick, any comments? All right, I'll call the question. Everyone in favor, please raise a hand. And we'll invite Ms. Pierce back. And now we are on the final grant application that We Play for Tyler Maltby Center is requesting $3,119.80 for the annual three-pitch tournament, along with $1,005.20 in in-kind services. Any questions about this application? No. Councillor Buderick?
I would move to approve it.
So approving that we recommend that the committee recommends that council approve the We Play for Tyler Maltby Center community grant application in the amount of $3,119.80 for the annual three-pitch tournament, along with $1,005.20 in in-kind services. And do we have a seconder for that? Mr. Hurst? And any comments or questions, Councillor Buderick?
I do know that they've raised, and it isn't in here, well over $10,000 since they've started, donated back to the Maltby Center from this event. So they're doing a very good job of giving back.
Excellent. Any other comments on this one? Seeing none, I'll call the question. Everybody in favor, please raise a hand. And thank you very much. That was exhausting. Item 12 on the agenda is the outstanding items tracker. And right now there's only one item that hasn't been done, which is signatures for adopted minutes from the October 15th meeting. But did the clerk's division have any comments to make on any of this?
Through your chair, no further comments at this time. Just wanted to keep this as an item that will be provided at each committee meeting, just to ensure we're tracking anything that the committee has directed or the committee has recommended to council to direct staff to follow up on, and just so the committee is aware of what staff is tracking to ensure is completed.
Thank you. Any questions from the committee on that? Nope. So item 13, upcoming meeting dates. So our next meeting will be scheduled in June 2025 to consider applications submitted under the 2025 intake 2. Mr. Marshall.
To the chair and to the rest of the committee. Next grant meeting, which is scheduled in June, will be my last meeting. I will be stepping down. I have other commitments coming up, and I won't be around this fall. So therefore, I'm asking maybe somebody could maybe have a new member approved for the grant committee meeting in October.
Well, Mr. Marshall, thank you very much. And you have been one of the original members of this committee from the inception.
Yes, the last weekend. But anyways, I will be here for the one in June.
Wonderful.
And that'll be my last meeting. And I really appreciate and I really enjoyed everybody's company here. Some of the new ones and some of the ones we had before. I've learned a lot. And that's what really helps and different things. And thank you.
Well, thank you very much for your service to the committee. And the final item is item 14.1. I'm looking for a motion to adjourn the meeting at 2:29. Mr. Becking, seconded by Ms. Pierce. I see you now, Diane. And I'll call the question. Everybody in favor? And thank you very much to the committee for your work.